love that knew when to stay. When Daniel first saw her, he did not believe in destiny. He believed in choices, in effort, in timing. Destiny felt like a comforting lie people told themselves when they were afraid to admit how fragile everything truly was. And yet, when she walked into the quiet bookstore near the river, rain clinging to her coat, eyes searching for something she herself did not know the name of, something inside him shifted, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to change the direction of his life. He would later wonder if that was love at first sight or simply recognition. She reached for the same book he had been holding. "I'm sorry," she said softly, already stepping back. "No, it's fine," he replied, smiling without thinking. "You should take it." She looked at him, surprised. "Are you sure?" "Yes," he said. "It seems like it was meant for you." She laughed quietly, not mockingly, but as if she had been offered something gentle in a world that had been too sharp for too long. "Thank you," she said. "I'm Anna." "Daniel." That was all. No fireworks, no promises, just two names, exchanged like something fragile, invaluable. The quiet kind of love. Their love did not arrive all at once. It grew in pauses, in shared coffee on cold mornings, in conversations that wandered without urgency, in comfortable silences that felt safe instead of awkward. Daniel learned that love did not always need grand gestures. Sometimes it lived in remembering how she took her tea. Sometimes in walking on the side of the street closest to traffic. Sometimes in simply staying. Anna had been hurt before. Not in dramatic ways that made for good stories, but in small, repeated disappointments that slowly taught her to expect less. Daniel sensed it in the way she flinched when happiness felt too close, as if she were waiting for it to be taken away. He did not try to fix her. He stayed, and somehow, staying was enough. Love made him stronger, not because it erased fear, but because it gave him something worth facing fear for. Love and freedom. There were moments when Daniel wondered where the line was between love and freedom. He had seen people cage each other with affection, confuse possession with devotion. He refused to do that. Anna was not something to be held tightly. She was something to be trusted. "You don't ever get jealous?" she asked him once, half curious, half suspicious. "I do," he admitted, "but I don't let it decide who I become." She studied him. "I don't want to be your whole world," she said quietly. "You're not," he replied just as quietly. "You're part of it, a beautiful part, but I don't lose myself loving you." That was when she understood. Love could be a place where two whole people met, not where two broken ones leaned until they collapsed. When love hurts, no love remains untouched by pain. It arrived one evening, unannounced, wearing the face of a past Anna had tried to forget. A message, an old name, a truth that came out clumsily, painfully. She had once loved someone who betrayed her trust. Not suddenly, but slowly. Lies layered upon lies until love became something unsafe. Daniel listened. He did not interrupt. He did not defend himself against accusations she never spoke aloud but clearly feared. "I don't know if I'm capable of loving normally," she whispered. "I'm scared I'll ruin this." "You won't," he said. "And even if you try, we'll survive it." Loving her meant accepting that some wounds reopened before they healed for good. And sometimes loving meant choosing patience over pride. Loving more than you are loved. There were weeks when Daniel loved more. He felt it in unanswered messages, in postponed plans, in the way Anna pulled away when things felt too real. It would have been easy to demand balance, to insist on equal effort. Instead, he asked himself a harder question. Am I loving to be loved back? Or because this is who I choose to be? He stayed not out of fear of losing her, but out of faith in what they were becoming. And slowly, quietly, she returned. The love that almost wasn't there came a time when Anna considered leaving. Not because she stopped loving him, but because love frightened her more than loneliness ever had. She stood by the river one night, watching the lights tremble on the water, rehearsing a goodbye she did not want to say. Daniel found her there. I think I need to go, she said, tears blurring her voice. Not away from you. Away from us. He felt the pain. Sharp, immediate, but he did not hold her back. If you leave, he said, do it because you need to grow, not because you're afraid to stay. She cried then, fully, honestly, and for the first time, she chose love over fear. Love as a path. Daniel learned that love was not a destination you arrived at and secured forever. It was a path, one that twisted, one that demanded courage, one that sometimes required letting go, trusting that what was real would find its way back. They changed each other, not by force but by presence. Anna learned to accept herself without apology. Daniel learned that strength could be gentle, a mature love. Years passed. Their love became quieter, deeper, less dramatic, more real. They chose each other every day, not because it was easy, but because it was honest. They argued, they forgave, they grew tired and found their way back. Love was no longer illusion. It was partnership. It was home. The love that stayed one evening. Long after the fear had faded, Anna rested her head on Daniel's shoulder. I think love is just this, she said. This? Yes, not leaving. Daniel smiled. Love had not arrived as destiny. It had become it. A love that knew when to stay. Emotional finale. There was a season when love stopped feeling safe, not because it was gone, but because it was suddenly too real. Daniel felt it first in the silence, not the peaceful kind they once loved, but the heavy one that pressed against his chest at night. Anna had begun to look at him as if she were measuring the distance between who she was and who she might become if she stayed. Love can do that. It can open doors inside you that you were never ready to walk through. I'm scared, she finally admitted. Not of losing you, of losing myself. Daniel closed his eyes. Loving someone did not mean keeping them. Sometimes it meant standing still while they trembled on the edge of their own becoming. If you ever need to leave, he said, voice breaking despite himself, I won't stop you. She looked at him then, really looked, and for the first time understood the cost of being loved without chains. The most dangerous kind of love. It would have been easier if love had been cruel. Cruel love gives you an enemy. Gentle love gives you a mirror. Anna began pulling away in small ways. Missed calls, shorter kisses, thoughts kept to herself. Daniel felt the old fear rise. What if loving her means slowly disappearing? This was the dangerous part. Not passion, not jealousy, but self-erasure. One evening he finally spoke. I love you, he said, but I won't lose myself to keep you. The words hurt them both, and yet they saved everything, because real love does not demand sacrifice of the soul. Letting go without leaving. They took space, not a dramatic breakup, not slammed doors, just distance. Daniel learned who he was without waiting for her footsteps. He returned to music, long walks, silence that healed instead of wounded. He discovered that loving someone did not excuse abandoning yourself. Anna, alone, finally faced the truth she had been avoiding. She had mistaken intensity for love. She had mistaken pain for proof. Daniel had given her something unfamiliar, safety, and she had almost run from it. The love that comes back changed. When Anna returned, she did not arrive with apologies. She arrived with clarity. I don't want a love that burns, she said. I want one that stays warm. Daniel stepped closer, cautious but open. I'm here, he said, but only if we walk side by side. She nodded. That was the moment love became a partnership. Love as home years softened them, not into something dull, into something true. Love was no longer a question. It was a place, a home you build together, not a storm you survive. The light that remains. Went to quiet morning. Sunlight spilled across the room as Anna watched Daniel tie his shoes. You know, she said, smiling softly, I don't believe in love at first sight anymore. He looked up. No, I believe in love that knows when to stay. Daniel crossed the room, kissed her forehead, not dramatically, not desperately, just surely. Love did not save them. They saved themselves, and that made all the difference.